Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Adam Den, Ethan Leviditis, and Michael Cormelos here with me as always. And we are back with you just to cover a little bit of NBA. Been a really, really long time since we've dived into the workings of the league. And we're going into, what's it, a 3-game road trip for the Sixers this weekend? Yep. So, figured we just go in, give our overall takes on what's been a successful season, and NBA takes right here. So let's start with the Sixers.
Woo!
Yeah, I'll let y'all go first. I've been kind of distant just because I don't know. I've just been coasting on. I've just been paying attention to, like, the Phillies and the draft because the draft's like very important. But we might talk about that like eventually. But I mean, at least they were decent with that Joel. Tony Bradley, he was good, and then we traded him for George Hill, who hasn't played a game yet, and also doesn't fit the team at all because we have
He will make his impact though as a playmaker.
Yeah, like he's the other man now because Paul Reed, but at the same time, like it's kind of just a worthless move, to be honest.
Like, if we like Paul Reed so much, then okay, then we just get rid of Tony Bradley. But are we just replacing Shake now? Is this ensuring Tyrese Maxey will play?
I think it is ensuring Tyrese Maxey, and I don't think Doc trusts him in that rotation just because of his defensive abilities and the outside shot that, despite his promises, still has not seemed to be there. What George Hill provides. What?
Yep.
But yeah, I think George Hill, just the shooting he provides from beyond the arc. I mean, Shake is more of a finishing guard. That will make a huge impact. And I mean, he is the kind of piece that going into, even next offseason, having locked up, it is a move for the future. Knowing the contracts you have to give out to like Danny Green. He is like 30, yeah.
So why are we building for the future? He doesn't fit the future.
He's a rotation piece for the future.
Yeah, let's take a veteran presence, I guess.
Well. I would rather have Danny Green's veteran presence. I mean, he's won multiple championships. He's won like 3 championships. So
I'd
rather have that than George Hill, and he's playing better than George Hill.
I think Danny Green should totally be. I mean, I was on the fence throughout the entire early ongoings of the season, but I believe Danny Green should be re-signed as a Philadelphia 76er.
Same with Seth Curry.
Yeah. Same with Seth Curry as well. Yep.
We just need to keep the team together. Just don't blow it up. Don't blow it up. Yeah. Please don't blow it up.
I can see going all in for a big piece. I really can, just because this is the window, and we've talked about it with the James Harden trade. I believe we talked about it with the Kyle Lowry trade a couple weeks ago, although obviously the Raptors trade demands were a little too much.
To be honest, yeah.
Absolutely not.
I agree. I mean, Kyle Lowry is a fantastic veteran player. He is the best player on that team. I completely believe that.
What? Ever heard of Pascal Siakam, bro?
Pascal Siakam has been mediocre. I mean, he has been nowhere near the superstar he was a year ago.
What are you talking about, bro?
He hasn't been. The efficiency just hasn't been there.
He's averaging like 20 points a game with 50% shooting. What do you want from him?
Yeah. They needed a big with the ability to completely take over a game, and he hasn't shown that. He's been similar to the player he was in the bubble.
Has like almost identical stats as last year. His 3-point shooting's just
because of what he did in the bubble that lowered it. But yeah, I mean, I do feel that this team, going into the playoffs, I don't expect them to come out of the Eastern Conference. I don't, but I do expect them.
Have hope, young grasshopper. Have hope.
This is the most fun I've had watching a Philadelphia 76ers team since 2017. Yeah. So, at least I can take this out of them. What?
Since the Kawhi Leonard year, yeah.
I didn't have fun watching that year. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, the regular season was...
they underperformed. Yeah.
No, you know what? No, I didn't like watching them until we got Jimmy Butler. Then it got fun.
Yeah.
We went from like the 7th... We went from a 7 seed to like a 3 seed, but Jimmy
Yeah,
Butler.
that
It
was
was insane.
the Brooklyn game, we hit the game winner, and also like Charlotte. Yeah, he was just a monster for us. And
His like the first game he got,
Yeah.
the first game of his like tenure, his half a year tenure, and he hits like a half court buzzer beater.
Yep.
And we didn't resign him because Brett Brown sucks.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, probably one of the worst coaches to ever come through this town, and I love how he set up, the structure for this process, and I give him full credit for being the player's coach that he was. But
the process
He's
took too
just
long.
not a good
Doc
coach.
Rivers.
Yep.
Doc Rivers has almost completed the process in literally his first year.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I went on record and I said I believe the process failed.
Yeah.
I still believe that I agree with that statement just due to the way last season ended, but I completely agree with the way they've retooled, and rebuilt. And, you can't argue with the results right now.
Yeah.
The process rebirthed.
Yeah, it's kind of just like
Yeah.
a renaissance. I think it's a completely different scenario than the process. It's kind of just like
I agree.
sequel to the process because
It's just still really well built.
so much
well-built
different.
team.
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
in office,
Exactly.
I was about to say Nick Casario. Oh my God, Doc Rivers and whatever the dude's name, Daryl Morey just built a really good team.
Yeah.
And
And give credit to Al
better.
Grant as well. We can't forget his name. I mean, I know we messed up with the Al Horford, I know the offseason he had last season, but I don't believe that he had full control under the Colangelo over that organization. So
Al Horford to a 4-year, like $100 million. What were we doing?
We were being.
We just wanted to get him away from the Celtics. How it goes.
Stays in Tatum's a fraud.
Like as a UNC fan, I try to agree with it, but he kind of is.
Jason Tatum
my worst nightmare at this exact moment.
Is having a injury filled difficult season.
I'll come out and say I think Jason Tatum is a star, but I hate the Celtics, so he's a fraud.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's fraud.
Should I even get started on Evan Fournier?
Evan Fournier has been horrible. Yeah.
He's awful. Let's look up on Twitter.
Yeah.
It seems like he was getting a lot of, just
I don't think he wanted to play for Boston, so he was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this. Go Magic. Yeah. He resigns with the Magic in the offseason. Watch.
Who knows? I mean, they'll probably get Cade.
How would that?
The lottery is such a they could go to Chicago at this point.
They could, and that would be fantastic.
That'd be perfect.
Chicago doesn't have their first round pick.
Oh yeah, we'll go to Orlando.
Orlando has it.
I mean, my favorite one, I have to say, and this is kind of. I mean, do we want to talk about kind of our takeaways after March Madness and this NBA draft?
If you say Jalen Suggs is a top 5 pick, I'm leaving this call.
I don't think he's a top 5 pick. I think he's a top 5 prospect.
I'm leaving the call. I'm gonna leave the call. You're insane. You're absolutely insane, dude. He's not a top 5 prospect.
I say Cade.
Yeah.
I would say Mobley. I would say Jalen Green. I would say Kuminga. I would say Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I don't really know about that, man.
Yeah. I mean, who are we gonna put over him after the postseason he had? Corey Kispert?
Oh my God, who cares? He hit one game runner. All of a sudden, he's the greatest thing since. I'm not gonna use that.
Sliced bread.
I like Smoothie better than I like Jalen Suggs, but that's his man.
He had a horrible tournament.
Yeah. I don't care.
Horrendous tournament.
Nigel Williams-Goss had a great tournament. Look where he is now.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's fair.
Right?
That's fair. But I am going to take proven production in the heat of the moment.
4 games.
This Moody, when getting doubled and shooting wise looked completely inept.
Okay, fine. If we're going to talk about the kind of tournament that people had, then I think the top 5 goes Cade, Mobley, Jalen Green, Kuminga, and then Davion Mitchell from Baylor.
I think Davion Mitchell is a top 15 prospect. I do.
I think he's top 5 prospect.
But I think that was one of the deepest teams in the country. I think, what Jalen Suggs managed to bring to, a Gonzaga backcourt that was pretty much empty and a bench, was absolutely incredible. And I think they showed the impact. I mean, you watched that national championship game. After those 2 fouls, it seems like that game is done, the moment he comes out of that game. So I think just the
Did you notice how every time Davion Mitchell left the game, Gonzaga came storming back?
They didn't really come storming back, bro.
They actually did. They actually did a bunch. They did right before halftime. They did a couple times in the second half. It sort of looked like they were going to mount something. Then they put Mitchell back in, and then they would just go right back to Baylor.
Storming back would not be the word I would use, but
if we're looking at Mitchell's stats compared to Suggs' stats, they average about the same amount of points, same amount of assists. Mitchell has a little bit of a better field goal percentage. I think Suggs has better rebounding, but I think Suggs is a bit of a better rebounder. But then the defensive presence that Mitchell provides is just unlike anything that Jalen Suggs can provide. I think
if we're looking for a volume scorer, a pocket scorer, like you said, in this day and age in the NBA, that's what I would prefer. I really would.
Well, I think in this day and age in the NBA, you need someone to guard those scorers.
I totally agree, and I think he's going to be a top 15 pick. Like, that's nothing, it's nothing against him. I think he will be alive.
I even think Corey Kispert's a better prospect than Jalen Suggs, outside of age.
Totally. I think if you watched Corey Kispert switch in that national championship game, and the way Mitchell and I forget the name of the other Baylor guard, I apologize, were able to switch on him and, get buckets. Jared Butler, yep. I mean, the whole thing in the NBA right now is the versatility of big men being able to, fight through switches and all that. That's why the Nuggets have Aaron Gordon. I mean, we'll get into that later, and the impact that he brings. That's why Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic are MVP candidates, is because of their ability to guard all 5 positions.
Well, Corey Kispert is a small forward. He's not a big man. So I don't know why you're comparing him.
He plays the 4.
He plays the 4 in college. He's not going to play the 4 in the NBA. He's not going to play the 5. He's not going to play the 4 in the NBA. Playing the 4 in college is completely different than playing the 4 in the NBA.
Cam Johnson,
Yeah, that's fair.
Wow.
He's 6'6". He's 6'6", 220. He's not going to play the 4. He's going to be a small forward.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good small forward. I like him better than Suggs. He was the team captain for a reason.
I know.
Well, that far, I like Scotty Barnes better than that.
Oh God. And he also played 4 years. This is a dude who's had a lot of minutes under him. He
had a lot of experience. I like that experience.
You could say experience.
It is experience. He plays back. He's played
You could also say a lot of minutes and a lot of. I can't get the word, but
exposure to
not exposure, no. You're trying to get me on your cause. Like worn down. Okay, never mind. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, it's still going to be an exciting draft. I think there's
that
still
does not have Jalen Suggs in the top 5 pick.
I think there are still a lot of NBA teams that are going to be on the lookout for it. So do we want to go into many first
NBA teams suck. I mean, what?
That is true. That is a fact. But mini first take?
Sure.
Not
doing that at the end today.
No, we're going right in the middle.
Yeah. Because it's related to the NBA, so might as well.
So why not?
Yeah. So baseball, though. Back to what you call it.
Yeah. So NBA contenders and pretenders.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So who wants to go first with their contender, or should I just go first with my pretender?
Either one.
I don't actually know my pretender yet, so somebody else go with their pretender.
Okay. I can go first.
Have fun.
So, as far as contenders, I kind of foreshadowed this earlier, but my contender is going to be the Denver Nuggets. I truly believe that with the MVP form that Nikola Jokic has been in throughout this entire season, the steps that Jamal Murray has made of late, I know he had a difficult start to the season, but lately I think he's shooting like 40% from three or something like that after the All-Star break. Just, a huge impact maker as a playmaker. And then to be able to trade for Aaron Gordon, a trade that I expected pretty much no impact from, and a trade that gives them so much versatility at the four position in comparison to a guy like Paul Millsap, an ability to, switch onto those smaller guards and a guy who can guard all five positions, this kind of Swiss Army knife. I think, with the incredible playoff run that they made last year, I would expect them to make another one and definitely not count them out for sure.
Yeah, they're getting bounced first round by the Lakers, so for the 4-5 matchup. So
I think they play the Lakers totally. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved up in the standings, over these next couple of weeks as well.
I mean, either way, they're not going to get past the Clippers. I think the top three set the West.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Kawhi Leonard is on one of his He's doing one of those things that Kawhi Leonard likes to do.
Then Paul George can do one of his, hit the side of the backboards. Actually, I'm actually impressed with Paul George's season. I'm
Me
just
too.
like joking.
No, you know what? After people saw Pandemic P, they forgot that he's a legitimate superstar.
Yeah, he's still a very good player. This is joke.
I mean, what's he putting up? 25 and 10 right now? Like that's fantastic. I'm
Yeah,
happy
23 blocks. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's good for like a wing, I guess.
So that leads right into my contender, the Clippers.
Oh. Okay. Not opposed to
what?
Not opposed to it. Like I want to see the Clippers win something just because they've been like the Jets to New York what the Clippers are to LA basketball, but
yeah. I mean, I'm looking at. I know what everyone's gonna say. Paul George is a playoff choker. It's a narrative. It's happened every year. He's made the playoffs. Damian Lillard ended the whole Thunder franchise over Paul George. I mean, I don't know. Like he's still elite. He's still an amazing player. He can always people call him Pandemic Pete. I remember the last game in the playoffs last year. One of his last games, he dropped 40, 15. It's something like that. He's insane.
That was that Kawhi Dallas game, and then he's horrible the next game.
No. It was in what do you call it? It was in Denver. He dropped 40 and 15 in the one game against Denver. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. It's some game. I mean, if you're looking at the roster, they obviously have that guy whose name's Kawhi Leonard. As Sixers fans, we are very familiar of his abilities in the playoffs. Unfortunately. Yep. Patrick Beverly at guard. Say what you want. It's experience. At this point, it's experience.
I guess.
I guess getting DeMarcus Cousins at center is also experience. Marcus Morris, at this, they're gonna pick it up. You know it. They're not. They didn't get him on a 10-day contract just to throw him away. Yeah. Reggie Jackson and Rajon Rondo off the bench is really good, in my opinion. Same with Luke Kennard. I also really like Avika Zubac off the bench. I don't know. I think this team's a really well-built team. I think they can make a run in the playoffs. I still think Utah's frauds. Regardless, I don't know. I still have my little hatred for them. Boils in.
I don't know about.
I still can't see them doing anything.
I don't know about frauds. I think
they're not the best team.
The offensive production that they've been able to hold, with the current roster that they have, is going to be hard to sustain in the playoffs with the amount of incredible defensive teams that are in the Western Conference. But I would still put them, in my top 5 contenders just overall, just because of the difference from last year in that offensive consistency. So
that's my contender.
Yo, Ethan.
I mean, this is very predictable, but the Nets, I mean, they're just too good. Kevin Durant's coming back strong, obviously on a sort of minute restriction.
Yeah, he was off the bench the other day. I was like, what?
Yeah. Bruce Brown started in this place. I'm like, oh god, but yeah, playoff KD and playoff Kyrie are just unstoppable. And say what you want about James Harden, playoff choker, blah, 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 27 missed threes. I still think him I think that's just overwhelming for a lot of teams in the East, especially if they're a high seed, that they're just going to sweep those middling teams. And even if, they could probably stand a chance against Miami if they're, a 4 seed again.
Yeah.
I
think Miami should make a 6 seed.
Yeah.
At best. This point.
Yeah, if Charlotte's a 4 seed, I can see them just breeze through them, to be honest. So I really like Charlotte, but just the three combined talents of Harden, Irving, and Durant.
Maybe Charlotte could squeak out a game 4, 1 point win, that always happens for some reason.
Yeah, they still have good players.
They lose game 4 for no reason.
Yeah, good role players like Bruce Brown, his defensive presence, Laker Shame at Sixers legend, obviously.
Yeah.
Jeff Green, Joe Harris. I mean, I think the veteran moves for Griffin and Aldridge are kind of overrated, but the team, obviously, it's definitely top heavy. Obviously, 3 top 10 players in the league. I don't know if Kyrie's top 10, but two of the best scorers of all time on their team. I think that's fair to say.
It's a fair take.
And they have solid enough defenders around them. Let's see. I mean, DeAndre Jordan's pretty bad, but he's good enough off the bench, or just if they split the minutes around with Nicholas Claxton, Marcus Aldridge. They got shooting.
Speaking of playoff choking,
go to the playoff chokers.
DeAndre Jordan.
Oh yeah, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin. But
I don't even think DeAndre Jordan is going to be playing in the playoffs. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it will be a rotation of LaMarcus Aldridge and Nicholas Claxton. Just with the depth of that team, honestly.
Yeah. The only reason he's on that team is because of Kyrie and KD. Oh, we want DeAndre Jordan.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I don't understand it, but the team is so good. There's a reason why they're neck and neck with the Sixers for the first seed. They're just and once KD is 100% back, he's going to be unstoppable. One of the best just isolation scorers of all time with James Harden. Obviously, precedent won't be. Can't use precedent too hard playoffs just because it's so unpredictable. I don't think anybody would have thought that Miami would have breathed all the way to the finals, but
yep.
Yeah, I think.
But in the bubble, it's a different atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely a different atmosphere.
Yeah. I'm gonna transition that right into the Pretenders.
Yeah. I'll say mine immediately. The Lakers. Sorry, I don't see it happening again. I just don't see it, especially if you have a matchup against Denver in the first round. I don't see anybody stopping.
Denver's a lot more complete.
Denver's back. They're bad now.
Yeah.
You got them last year where they had no playoff experience. Now they're going to be back. They're not happy. They thought they were going to win. They want to win. So what I mean. And then if you second round matchup against the Jazz or the Suns, they just don't match up well against some of these teams. I know they've been injured. I understand that, but I don't know. I don't see it happening again. I think they can compete. I think they could even make a Western Conference Finals appearance if they really try. I just don't see it happening again. I also hate their bench. I don't think it's overrated in my opinion.
I mean,
I just don't like their starting lineup outside of Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
My counter argument would be,
wrong.
Dennis Schroeder until, about a month or 2 months ago when he started on a little bit of a cold streak, was considered a top 10 or 15 guard in the NBA and, consistently was giving the Thunder buckets in that 3-guard lineup last year. So I think, he could step up. KCP was fantastic in the playoffs last year. I think he could definitely continue that. He was fantastic last night. I think they played Denver. But yeah, I do have faith in them. I don't think they're as good as last year's team. I think they're deeper. I just don't think they're as talented. But I just can't argue with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, to be completely honest. So we'll see. My pretender is the Portland Trailblazers. I just feel like this is similar to what we did last year with this narrative of the Blazers being able to contend, even with the Nuggets and the Jazz of the West, And I feel like with the bench that Portland is currently sporting, with their wing depth, and I mean just the fact that Damian Lillard has practically had to put this team on his back to an unforgivable extent.
It worked in
Nurkic has not
2019.
looked the same. What?
It worked in 2019
It did work in 2019. I agree.
to some extent.
But I do think this is a different Western Conference than it was in 2019, with the Warriors ruling over everything, and the West a little more scattered.
Or long range three. So funny. I cannot believe he shot that.
I can't argue with it. I cannot
believe he shot that. It's not a good shot.
Yeah, that's what Paul George said. Yeah.
It's really not. It's not a smart shot at all.
It's not a good shot, but it's a good shot.
It's
not a good shot selection, but it's a good effort.
Yeah.
It's not a good shot selection, but it was. I think that's probably what Paul George was trying to say.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good shot selection, but like it existed and it was a good.
If it goes in, it goes in. You know.
It went in.
Ray Allen 2013. You know.
Kawhi Leonard 28.
Kawhi Leonard, yeah.
LeBron James against the Wizards at that one time.
Yeah, like 2 seconds left off Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Anything you got to pretend?
Yeah, it hurts to say this because
you got to say us.
Yeah, no. I mean, Michael and I are the Greek people of the call in the group, but be honest, it's really hard to project him to go through the playoffs again, especially that the Eastern Conference is so much stronger with James Harden coming in and Sixers just primed for a big run. Obviously, I think they still will be a top seed, but I don't know, they're the biggest pretenders. I know, obviously, the argument is, it's just he's a choker last year, he's a choker this year, but yeah, I'm just not a fan of I think the bench is the biggest issue. Like Bobby Portis is their biggest bench contributor.
PJ Tucker.
Yeah, Bryn Forbes, Jeff Teague, DJ Augustine. I mean, they're decent players, but if you want to win a championship, you just need a stronger core off the bench. Because I know Drew Holiday, they gave up a ton, and they gave him a giant extension. I think he will add some, I guess, offensive and definitely defensive presence for them, which they need. Basically, like their Brogdon replacement, essentially. But yeah, I think they're super top heavy with Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday. I know it kind of contradicts the Brooklyn thing, but I think just that even Brooklyn's bench is better than Milwaukee's because if you're giving like 14 minutes to PJ Tucker, 11 to Torrey Craig, and 19 to DJ Augustine, you're doing something wrong. I'm surprised they didn't make. They could have made a little bit bigger moves and just made it like a little more well-rounded instead of just having Pat Connaughton
Tucker's
3 minutes a game.
PJ Tucker is at the bottom of his career. I mean, I think people were hyping up that move. Yeah. I mean, I forget what he's shooting from the field, but I don't think it's over 40%. Yeah. So, I mean, and in a Eastern Conference where, you have us in Brooklyn, which are teams that have the ability to simply bully you, and with the style in which Milwaukee plays with Giannis and Chris Middleton, I just don't see them getting out of that conference.
So, by the way, PJ Tucker is shooting 25% from the field.
Oh my god!
And 25 from three because he's like the corner three guy. So I guess that's just all his shots. But yeah, the major move of their deadline is like one of the worst shooters statistically in basketball right now. He's only averaging a point, a rebound, and
a
2
singular point.
A singular, 2 rebounds. And
2 rebounds.
Okay. A third of an assist.
A third of an assist. What is a third of an assist? How do we define a third of an assist?
Every 3 games, he gets 1 assist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's terrible. I'm sorry, that's awful.
I really want to see Giannis win a ring because I don't want him to be one of those guys like like
Baseball.
I guess Stockton, Malone, and like Allen Iverson, obviously, because we ruined him. Much it hurts to say, and like Elvin Baylor in like the 50s and 60s, like right after he retired, that's when like Will Chamberlain came, which is like really frustrating, and, like Jerry West. But
Yeah, I'd be pretty upset if I was him.
yeah, I mean, I want all these teams to be good. I want to see good basketball, but also
But I want the
I
Sixers to be better
gladly
than
want the Nets and the Bucks to implode for in the favor of the Sixers, but you never know. Yeah, we've
That sounds
seen
like a great idea.
insane stuff. Yeah.
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 All right. So
Moving
do
to
we
our
want to
last.
finish it off with some Phillies talk?
Yeah, I guess I'll lead this because I'm
Yeah.
the only person that really is dedicated to this team, which
Yep.
deservedly
I've
so.
watched every game. I've watched every inning of every game, so
Yeah,
I don't want
they've
to hear
been a
Paul
nightmare.
saying-
They've been
I
a
watched
nightmare for
every
the past
game
2
except for when you
seasons.
went to.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, the game
Just
that I
like
went
one
to against the Nets was a great game, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to take that into total account because it's obviously just one of 162. But so far, they're 5-1. Obviously, they're losing right now to the Braves. Because Ronald
Yeah.
Acuna is like a top 5 player in baseball, to be honest. But I
Yeah.
mean, the pitching has been definitely improved. I mean, Zach Wheeler obviously he's had a rough game today. He got pulled in like the 5th. But
Yeah.
I mean, Noah's been fine. Obviously, a little bit shaky with the hits. The back end of the rotations, whatever. Like, they've has been improved. Obviously, I mean, it's not like big name guys or like Archie Briley definitely helps. Hector Neris is looking better. Center field obviously a big hole too with like Adam Hazley. I mean, he's batting
fine.
for like a decent average, like 286, like 357 slugging. No, 286 on base and like 280 average. But yeah, Reese Hoskins has been great. JT's been great. Bryce, I mean, could be better.
Yeah.
Batting 263, only like a double, which was in the end I saw. Sorry, 2 RBIs. Yeah, 5 hits on 19 at bats with like, I mean, basically the same amount of walks and strikeouts. But Alex Boehm's been pretty good. Obviously, had the big home run. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep bringing up that game. But yeah, I mean, Gene Segura's been good. Actually, he's been really bad. He's had a decent enough on base, but he's not hitting good average. Same for McCutcheon, but I think
They're fine.
all they need to do is just get good back end pitching, center field, and definitely bench players because Roman Quinn is only good for his speed and maybe his arm.
He had that great play the other day.
Yeah, he's good at like
His arm, yeah.
throwing like after like a fly ball, but he literally is batting zero. Zero. He is like nothing. I'm promise. I hope the site's not messed up, but it's 0. 350 on base just because he's walked like twice.
He has not hit
That's
the
7
ball.
strikeouts. He has not hit a ball into the play. So,
Alec Boehm has been great too.
yeah, Boehm's been great. He had a bomb against the Mets. I'm gonna keep bringing it up, but yeah, Reese Hoskins has been great.
He's
417
on a bomb
average.
against Hoskins is like 417.
Yeah, 4-7. I mean, obviously, it's only
8
24
games,
plate
yeah.
appearances in 6 games, I guess. All right, actually, he started 5 because I think, yeah, they just the resting sort of, I don't know, kind of just differentiates in baseball. But 10 hits and 24 at bats, 6 runs, 6 strikeouts is bad. He hasn't walked at all, but the home run is big. The 6 doubles, I think, leads the National League at least right now. Definitely up there.
I think at least it will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously so hard to predict how far this team is going to go because the division is probably the hardest in the league with Atlanta and New York and Washington. Even Miami. Miami was better than us last year. But yeah, their pitching is so much better than ours. Like Miami, like Sixto Sanchez, who we traded for JT, and like
still worth it.
It's still worth it because he's the best catcher in baseball. But yeah, definitely need to address center field because I mean I don't want to bring back Odubel to be honest because like he wasn't even good before he got into his whole thing that we won't talk about. But Adam Hazley, I mean he hits for average, but he's not like he's a terrible fielder. Like he literally dropped like a routine fly that like gave up a couple runs against. I think it was in the second game against the Mets.
Yeah.
So address center field, address like pinch hitters once the pitchers come out because obviously no universal DH this year. Andrew Knapp, he did have like 2 hits and a home run against. I want to say it was the last game against the Braves. But obviously, he's gonna not play all the games. He's gonna play like maybe a fourth or a fifth because JT's obviously gonna have the majority of the games to catcher. But Zach Wheeler is batting .667 too. He has a double and 2 hits in one game. But
legendary.
yeah, it's very hard to predict this team because sports radio is always, it's the playoff team. It's the playoff team, and it's very difficult because it's 2 series.
It's 6 games in, yeah.
It's against division rivals, which helps because at the end of the year, obviously that'll play into account. But there's so much baseball left. There have been major implosions. Seen it the first 2 years of Bryce Harper's tenure here, and the Nationals were like below 500 the other one, like the All-Star break when they won the World Series. So
that
was a bit of a Cinderella run, though. I think.
That was a Cinderella run. This team has the longest playoff drought for a reason. I think it's like 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, but they just need to sustain good starting pitching, good relief pitching, obviously, because they had second worst all time behind like the 1930 Phillies, because it just works here. We just produce just awful bullpens in this. And
Jojo Romero.
Yeah.
Who's now in AAA.
Brett Kinger is also in AAA because
it's
I think he'll be decent at center field, but I don't know. This team's good. I'm not going to say they're great because I'm pretty sure the Mariners were like 7-1 like last year, and they ended up with like a bottom 5 record. So I'll enjoy it while I can because.
No, I mean we cannot judge anything. I mean they're playing how many games? Is this the 7th game?
Yeah, the 7th game, and they're going to be like 6 and.
We have played 4% of the schedule. We have played 4.320% of the schedule.
Yeah.
So.
And they've got a lot of games left, and it's not like the Braves are just terrible. They're probably the best team other than LA in the National League. Like, I cannot name a bad starter other than like their center fielder, which obviously is also
second baseman. Their second baseman's terrible. I think he's had 1 hit all year.
Yeah, Ozzy Albies was like shut down, but there's still like a ton of upside. He's gonna probably at the end of the season bat at least like 270, and he's still.
Well, he better. He's on my fantasy team. He just negative hits every time.
Yeah, and Acuna is still like a top 5 player. Freeman won MVP last year for a reason. Swanson's pretty good. Austin Riley's pretty good. James McCann was a good pickup. Their pitching's great. Like I like Soroka, I like Anderson, I like Charlie Morton. The bullpen's fine. But I think I'm more scared of – I don't want to say I'm more scared of the Mets, but I think the Mets definitely could be the team that pushes us away just because Lindor. And definitely the starting pitching is better than ours, like DeGrom and Stroman. I mean, it's just as top-heavy as the Phillies, but DeGrom's the best pitcher in the league. So and their bullpen isn't great, but they still have a lot of great hitters like Conforto and Alonso and Lindor, obviously, probably in the top 3 shortstop in the league, like right next to Story and like I think Bogarts is a shortstop, but
obviously Javier Baez.
Oh God, no! But the Nationals obviously Soto's not going anywhere. Scherzer, Strasburg, Trey Turner is Trey Turner's also a great shortstop, and the Marlins obviously don't have the sexy names. They're basically like the Rays that aren't as good in the NL, but because they just have a ton of great pitching, a ton of young players, and they're not
super low payroll,
throwing out a ton of money. And then they made the playoffs and they beat the Cubs in the first round.
Yeah,
they wild card or whatever. So
that was hilarious.
Please don't get super invested in the Phillies and don't think they're going to automatically be a playoff team because they've won 2 series against division rivals. Because
it's not football.
Yeah, it's not football.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. It's promising. I'm glad to see a one Philly sports team not named the Sixers be good. That's probably all we'll get.
Bro, every sports team in Philly except for what do you call it is good. The Eagles are good at this point. The Flyers are mediocre. I don't know about
the Flyers were terrible.
Yeah, the Flyers are middling right now. Carter Hart's been statistically one of the worst. We're not going to go into hockey, but he's been statistically one of the worst goaltenders in the league, especially for the expectations. And the Eagles, maybe the 17th. Yeah, maybe the 17th game helps the Eagles, but WRP said over under 6.5, and I would say way under.
4. 4. We give it 4.
4-13.
man.
Give us
I think that's
Spencer
realistic.
Rattler. I don't care.
Yep.
Everyone's
It's
sleeping on the Union.
just a very up and down season for the Flyers. We're not going to get into that, but the Phillies, it's very hard to tell at this point.
Everybody's always forgetting about the Union.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow it as close as like my family because I mean I know Michael calls him a cousin. He's like, I'll give you that. Like you're basically my cousin, like because we've known each other forever. But my mom's second cousin's son is on the team, and he's like actually good. Shout out Anthony Fontana.
Yeah, Anthony Fontana, best player in the MLS at this point. I don't know. He was on the U20 national team. So I mean,
yeah, he's a beast. Not just saying that because I'm vaguely related to him. But,
I'm not even related to him. I just say I'm related to him because I pretty much am.
Yeah, like I would rank it Sixers. Yes. As far as like, I'm not gonna put the
Sixers, Phils, Sixers, Flyers.
As far as talent, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, Eagles, and Union will probably be somewhere around the top just because I don't follow them.
The Union would probably. I've watched every game they play. I think they're because Anthony obviously. But I think they're probably above. They're probably above the Flyers.
Yeah, the Flyers are a nightmare. But yeah, I mean, are we just about done?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, that's all we got. We will be back for more NBA, maybe a little more NFL draft as we approach. Yeah, and as always, fire hire yours.